game, you talked about the style of GNAC football, the week in, week out challenge of competing in this league. How do you prepare for those aspects in your preparation during the week?
Boy, the style is, I believe, just physical football every single week. There's a lot of players in our league who have got future aspirations and are being looked at by the next level. I think there's a lot of size in our league. So what you have there is this big physical component that you have to balance week in and week out of having a physical practice without grinding out your players as well. So I think I know this. Coach Heigert and Coach Beatty have done an amazing job this season with keeping our strength up in the weight room. So there's a good regiment that happens throughout the week. But then also just the planning of balancing in practice that physical play with just when it needs to be a concentrated, focused, sharp practice without being as physical as well. Because you have to be fresh come Saturday. If you're not fresh come Saturday, this thing's just gonna eat you up.
Now, Coach, your offense showed a new dimension with a quarterback on the move on Saturday against Western Oregon. How much more potential for growth do you see in your offense?
Well, I'd like to say the whole team has got a tremendous amount of growth still. The offense, particularly, to answer your question, what Daz does is he's back now. He's healthy. I mean, he got knocked out in the first game, so now we've got a original starter who's back, and he has what we always knew he could do is he could make plays with his feet. And I think he's a large man at a solid 6'4", 230 pounds, and he has great vision. But I think what his vision and his feet are connected well, where he can move himself while still keeping his downfield focus, and then when he has to, he can take off and run the ball and be somebody that can handle the contact down there. So I'd like to believe that our offense is just getting going, but you and I both know is that every week is its own season, its own challenge, and so we're going to look to see what the personnel we have this week does well and continue to put them in that type of position to excel.
Coach, the defensive units, becoming such a physical group.
Mm-hmm.
Take us through how you got them to make the necessary adjustments over the last year to become what they are now.
Right. Well, I think last year you realized how physical this league is, and while I think you see the back half of us being successful in the back half of the season, that's a lot of ability to learn as an organization, ability to adapt and grow. But I really applaud our players for their mental toughness because they were able to figure out, okay, this is how they have to play and how they change the style of practice to what we talked about earlier. But now, going into the off season, you saw a tremendous focus in the weight room, and not only in the weight room, but just the way they did their conditioning, the way that guys stayed around this summer and prepared themselves to what they knew would be physical, fast football. And so then you go into camp and you see what you have is, I think, a great senior leadership on the defensive side of the ball. Every week they're not happy, or excuse me, better yet, they're not content with what they've done, and they have a tremendously high standard of excellence that they set for themselves. And so the leadership component, I don't think can be overstated at all. And it's really strong this year when it comes to that defense.
Now, Coach, in the GNAC, you've seen everyone but Simon Fraser now. From last year,
mm-hmm.
2 games against all these teams, to this year, how much information can you use out of last year's 2 games as you apply them into preparations for as you see teams this year? How much has transferred?
Well, I think one of the things is you look into just what it takes to go travel to that school. Western Oregon now, when we're in the locker room, you knew what the game day would be like. You knew the hotel you're going to stay at. The players are familiar with the sequence about what our travel will look like. So that helps, I believe, diminish a bit of that travel, of, hey, where people say it's hard to win on the road. It's always very hard to win on the road, but I went that familiarity of where you're going to stay. But then also when you look at preparing for an opponent, you're more familiar with the personnel. If you've played them last year, you kind of have you have a sense of familiarity, but then you also leave that nugget to say, just as much as our players have improved over the year, we anticipate that their players are improving over the year. And have a real desire to excel their game, and then you just have an overall familiarity of general scheme. I think if we see our games, you watch all the opponents closely, is that everybody's making minor tweaks along the way, and so this league has a unique component where you go and play each other twice, and so there's an evolution that starts to happen as the season progresses, that people are trying to figure out what they do well, what was their initial plan, how now as it evolved, injuries come into play, and then how are you evolving in the next as the year progresses. So it's good to be in the league. I'm really proud of this league. I'm proud of the competition. I think our players realize that every game we play it's a dogfight, and you got to be ready for this thing.
Is there anything you like about playing each team twice? What aspects are maybe enjoyable about being able to play a team twice?
Well, I'd say having it the other way, where you don't play teams twice, you'll play a rival one time. But there's a really unique rivalry that starts to happen with all of our teams. A real high level of respect, which is I think what college football is all about. But because you play each other twice, and that familiarity we talked about, there's that sense of a rivalry starts to develop, a sense of that competition, and I think both teams take the field. There's relationships that go back. There's recent history, and where you're not waiting a whole year. I mean, you're playing your recent history, and then you just have this great admiration for your opponent, because you know they're going to play great football in front of you. So I'd say that's probably one of the rare things that our league can provide, that college experience, is just that real sense of, man, that competitive rivalry every single week, which is it's fun.
Yeah. And just looking at the scores, we've seen 2 different Simon Frasers, from a hot start to back-to-back defeats. What kind of team do you expect to see this week?
Well, I expect to see their best. They're a hungry team. They're well coached. They've got a couple injury situations that happened. The way we whole staff looks at it is we expect like us and like I'm sure other teams, as you figure out what you can do, you're learning from your mistakes, and so we're expecting a strong team that comes in here, and being homecoming for us. We're armed. Our focus is that we need to be the very most sharp, focused team we can be this week, and I think that's just our whole standard here. We have here. It's just our best play has got to come out every week. So while we're very happy to have the success so far we have had, we're even more hungry to play our best football, which is yet to be. So we're thankful we get to play in front of a great audience this Saturday with the homecoming. I think our homecoming is one of the best ever around. I mean, I'm so impressed with just how people come back, the relationships, the crowd, seeing all the families. It's an amazing experience. I think when you experience our homecoming, you know how special this program is and how special this university is.
Coach, just a couple more things. We had a chance to talk a little bit at practice last week, but about Nick Grunsky and just getting his story out, being a semifinalist for the National Football Foundation National Scholar Athlete. Just what is him being the only GNAC guy, one of a handful of Division II guys that are up for that award? What does that say about him as a person, about APU's football program? Just how proud are you to be able to put someone like that forward for an award like that?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost it speaks quite a bit about who that person, who the young man is, and the family who raised him, and the self-determination that he has to demand the best of himself. I'd say that Nick is a special human being. We're so proud of him to be able that somebody's recognized him as a finalist. To have somebody coming out of the GNAC, I think we're proud to be a member of this league, to add some meat to the table to represent this league on a national stage. And then as far as the university, I think it speaks a lot that way too. Just that we feel like it's been a very good marriage between the mission statement of the university and the football team, as well as with Nick and who he has and his character traits. I think Nick will be a successful person no matter what. But I also feel like Nick has really grown up, and it's been the Pacific experience has really just been just a key component, just adding this whole chemistry together and making him what he is today. And so we're pretty proud of him.
Yeah, and then after beating Western Oregon, you get a nice road win. Good Saturday for APU athletics. And then you kind of get overshadowed a little bit Saturday night with former baseball player Stephen Vogt getting a walk-off hit for the A's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that? Just seeing an APU guy out there doing great things in the athletic field. Yeah,
no, Steve Vogt's the man. That guy can overshadow us any time. And so he, it just you want that to be. I think where our university and our athletic department is so unique and special is that all of our coaches are pouring into the athlete for the beyond. You know, we all want to win a national championship every year, but I think with the heart of our coaches to say they're building them up so that they can go experience success on the grandest of stage, whether it be Major League Baseball, NFL, or just life in general. And so I tell you what, we're so proud of our alums, and Steve Vogt, man, that dude's up there. You got my vote. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Coach.
All right.